What's up, everybody? This is Corey with How To Tech. We're going to do a quick battery replacement on this iPhone 7. First thing we need to do is remove the pentalobe screws from the right and the left of the charge port. Get these both out of here. We're going to go ahead and remove the screen. I do like to use just a little bit of heat. I want to make sure it's nice and warm. You can use a hair dryer. I'm using a hot air gun. Pop our little metal pry tool underneath right below the home button to get us started. Then switch to a plastic tool like a guitar pick. We'll insert that just to the side and work that around the frame. You want to go all the way down both sides, but stop short just the top of the phone, as there are some clips at the top that hold it in. We'll have to wiggle it free. Work our way around the opposite side of the phone, just all the way up. If you do need to reapply heat here, you can do that as well, just to make it a little bit easier. It's not extremely difficult. You'll see some adhesive on the phone. Just go ahead and break this off as you work your way around. And then we're going to have to wiggle it back and forth. Down here at the top, there is adhesive at the top of the phone, preventing it from just sliding open. And we'll have to wiggle that back and forth to get it nice and open. 2 ribbon cables, one near the camera and then one down by the display. We'll need to open it like a book so we don't damage these cables. Let's get it right open. Now we can go ahead and remove these 4 tri-wing screws, 000 Tri Wings. And then we can remove the cover off of the interior of the phone. Pop right off. We'll remove the battery connector, just snaps right off. And then the 2 connectors for the screen, one for the display and one for the digitizer. We'll need to do the same thing for the camera. We have 1 screw on the interior on the left, just right above the battery, 1 screw on the right side. It's easier to get to if you fold the screen back open. With both of those screws removed, which are Phillips screws, we can pop the cover off just right below the camera and undo the cable connecting this. We can remove our screen now. So now we're left with just the body of the phone with a battery on the interior. Down here towards the bottom of the charge port, you can see these 2 black strips that are actually hiding some white adhesive underneath them. These adhesive strips are kind of like command strips where you pull from the bottom and you pull them, and then eventually whatever's stuck will be released, just like that brand command strip. So this does work out for me about half the time correctly. The other half I seem to mess it up, and I can't be the only one that's having this issue with these strips. So we're going to go ahead and show you what it looks like when one's done successfully, and I'll show you what it looks like when one does not go to plan and what you can do to still get your battery out without really destroying your phone and possibly hurting yourself in the process. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this black piece back. This is going to be a little bit of a tedious project because it doesn't always get started right. This adhesive is very sticky and it just doesn't want to get balled up and pulled out. Now the goal is to get it into kind of a big enough little portion or ball that we can grab it with a pair of tweezers or even your fingers and start to pull it out from underneath the battery. So we've started to make some pretty good progress. It's almost pulled off all the way off the back of the battery housing. So now we can try to get a pretty good grip on it and see if we can't pull it upwards and get it started to be pulled out. See, it's really, really gummy adhesive. You just want to get it started enough that you can get your fingers on it. You want to get a nice good grip on it to be successful. Alright. So close. Alright, now you can go ahead and pull it back and it'll start to stretch. And it starts to come out. It'll be about 3 or 4 times the length of the battery as you start to remove it. You'll have to wrap it around your finger to continue pulling it without it snapping. Just get a nice good grip on there. Just pull straight back. There we go. So it almost looks like you're pulling out some bubble gum. Wrap it around. Keep pulling. Now hopefully this works for you on both sides of the battery. Just as you pull it out, the battery will plop out pretty easily at that point. But if not, then it can be a real pain and chore to get the other side off. Something that should be just a pretty simple battery swap can turn into something that causes a lot more work and possibly damaging your phone. So now it's getting a little bit easier the longer it gets. We're getting towards the end. And there you go. Popped right out. So now we'll go ahead and do the bottom side. We'll do the exact same process where we pull up the battery adhesive with our tool and try to get it started. This time I'll pull with just a little bit more force. You'll see that it will snap the adhesive, and then you're going to have to pull it out with a spudger, which is not a fun process. Alright, there we go. Now we have the adhesive pulled, and you'll see it snap. There's no way to get back to the adhesive because essentially it's sucked back up underneath the battery. So now what we're going to have to do is use a spudger to get started on the back of the phone to pull this battery up. So hopefully the Note 7 taught us some things about not puncturing batteries. You can watch Zach do it on his Jerry Rig Everything channel where he punctures a battery. You can see really how damaging these can be. So the goal here is to not puncture this battery, and you can actually still do that with a plastic pry tool. So I'm just going to work my way around the back of the phone and just pry it upwards. It's fairly flexible, but you don't want to bend it too much. And you can see the adhesive on the opposite side. It kind of looks like toothpaste inside of there. So what we need to do is just gently take our spudger and rock it back and forth between the back of the phone and the battery to remove and loosen this adhesive. So we're just going to work our spudger down the back of the phone slowly. We're taking our time and just kind of pushing it and pulling it just a little bit at a time to get this to loosen up. Now, if you were to puncture this, if you haven't watched any videos on it, it would start a flame and smoke, and that would be not a great scenario to have in your workroom. So something to be very gentle and very careful with. So again, just pulling. Now we can pull it just gently. We don't want to bend the battery a lot. We don't want to damage it on the interior portion of the battery at all. Just working our spudger down, and it's really stuck in there. It's really hard to get out. I don't want to sugarcoat that at all. So if you do have this happen, it's kind of a pain. So you can get to a point where you can almost just pull it off, but you don't want to just rip it. Just take your time and pull it out. Perfect. See really how gummy that is. So now that we have the battery out, we're going to go ahead and flatten it. Just make sure it's on a nice flat surface and press it down and back into its original shape. And you want to get it as slim as possible also. So if you have any big creases in it, you're going to want to push those out with a spudger or a flat surface to make sure that you don't have any pressure against your screen when you put it back together. Remove the remaining adhesive out of the interior of the phone. And now we can go ahead and get started on putting this back together. So you can buy the adhesive strips off of eBay, Amazon. I'll throw that in the link in the description down below. You can just use some adhesive as well. It's supposed to be anti-static. I've never had any problems using just regular adhesive. So just double check and make sure it's nice and smooth. If you have any of these pieces right here, like this crease, I'm going to push out with my spudger, just nice and gently. Get it as flat as possible. Now that we have done that, we can go ahead and remove the adhesive strips on the back of the battery. Just pull them up. Now the one benefit of using the original adhesive strips is hopefully you can pull them out next time and not have to go through this entire process. So now that we have the adhesive pulled off, we have the back of our phone, we can go ahead and lay this down. Now we're not going to push it in. We want to make sure the battery cable is going to line up and snap in place first, and then we can press the battery back into place. Now before we continue our reassembly process, you're going to want to unclip your battery again as well. If you don't want to watch this reassembly, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace. If you want to continue watching, I'll show you how to reassemble your iPhone now. You can go ahead and reattach it to the body of the phone. Start here at the top with the camera loudspeaker ribbon cable. A lot more flexibility on this one than it is for the display cables. I'd start here first, pushing the interior display cable first, and then the exterior one. Snap that just back in place. Just don't give them a lot of force until you have them lined up properly. Press in our battery, reattach the 4 screws and the bracket that places here. We do the same thing with our camera. Put the bracket in, put the first screw in, and then fold it over and put the second screw in, just right here. Now with that done, we can just go ahead and reattach our display to the phone itself. And to do that, we're just going to fold it over, pull it down a little bit, push the top part in, and then in and underneath to make sure that those 2 hooks lock in at the front of the phone. Then we can work our way down and snap it in place. Work both sides and make sure that the screen just pops back in. Then we can take our 2 pentalobe screws, reinsert those back into the phone. one for each side. These don't have to be extremely tight, but just a little snug to make sure that the phone doesn't pull up. And with that done, we can go ahead and power it on and test. And it is a fully functional phone now. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.